So from me again at Pure Yoga, we're going to be taking you through the mindful movement of forward and reverse poses. So what that means is we'll be taking you through a flow where we add poses on, but as we add poses on, we also reverse back through those poses before we come back to doing a little flow on the floor, a baby vinyasa. So we're going to take it really slow, nice and easy, cue you all the way through, so just enjoy the practice. We're going to start in laying on our backs, so bringing the bums into the centre of the mat, the heels to the front of the mat, and then just slowly bring yourself down to the floor into a supine position, bringing the hands down by the sides of the body. Just push into those feet, lift up the bums, bring the lower back to the floor, and then release the legs to being relaxed. Just let the feet drop out to the side, let the shoulders relax, let the face relax around the jaw, and just take a few moments here just to scan the body from the top of the head to the fingertips, to the toe tips, just witnessing how your body feels as you've arrived on the mat, whether that be morning, noon or evening, knowing that your body will be slightly different at each time of day, different on each day. So never two practices are the same. Even though I do give variety through the practices, your bodies never feel the same from one day to the other. So just find out how that body feels for you today. When you've taken that mental scan of the body, start to bring the attention to the breath and just follow that automatic breath for a few moments. Just being aware of how that breath is entering and exiting the body. Maybe you're already taking nice long deep breaths. Maybe they're short and shallow. Just witnessing it for a moment. And if those breaths are fairly short and shallow, start to bring them a little longer, a little deeper into the belly as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, just allow that belly to draw back towards the spine. That chest expands on the inhale, and everything relaxes back down on the exhale. If you're happy to start bringing that breath in and out through the nose, unless you're holding any colds or allergies, in which case use the mouth. Taking in that true yogic breath if you're using the nose, that cleansing breath. And then in bringing both feet into the centre of the mat, bring your right knee in towards you, squeeze that knee in towards the chest as much as you can, compressing through that right hip flexor. Keeping that left leg grounded on the floor, nice and straight. Active through both feet, so drawing both sets of toes back towards the shins. Keeping that activity throughout. Then bring that right knee towards the right armpit, bringing the thigh around the outside of that right rib cage. And then just draw that knee in as close to that armpit as you can. Then bringing that knee back into the centre, straightening up through that right leg, sending the heel of the right foot up towards the ceiling, still bringing those right toes back towards the shins, taking a little hamstring stretch down the back of that right leg, fairly early on in practice, but with no pressure. Then start to lift those shoulders away from the mat, just bringing that head a little closer towards the leg, maybe the leg a little closer towards the head. Then release those shoulders back down, take a bend back into your right knee, bring your hand of the right either to the ankle or the outside of the right foot. Point that heel back up, keep a bend into that right knee and squeeze that knee again in towards that right armpit. With that right foot, sole of the foot pointing up towards the ceiling. Just taking a half happy baby on the right side. Then release that right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Just let that right knee drop out to the side in external rotation of the hip into what looks like a tree position, but in a supine place, laying on your backs. Just getting a little openness through that groin, through that inner hip flexor. Then bring that knee back to the center, bring the arms out to the T shape, and then just slowly take that right knee over to the left side of the mat, still keeping the chest pointing up, shoulders grounded, and that knee just going as far over as it wishes to that left side. Just taking that little rotation through the waist, but nothing that's too strong. Then bring yourself back to the center, straighten out the right leg. Bring your left knee into your chest and squeeze that left knee into the body as tight as you can, compressing this time through the left hip flexor, keeping active through both feet, drawing the toes back to either shin. Just keeping those breaths easy, trying to take them deep. Then bring that left knee towards that left armpit, bringing that thigh around the outside of that left rib cage. Squeeze it in here. Then bring that knee back to center. Straighten up through that left leg, pushing that left heel up to the ceiling. Toes back towards the shins, just getting into the back of those hamstrings, into those calves. Maybe just rubbing the hands up and down the back of that thigh if it feels tight. And then lifting the shoulders away, just bringing the head towards the leg and the leg towards the head. Still keeping that leg as straight as you can. Then relax those shoulders back down, take a bend into your left knee. Bring your left hand either onto the ankle or onto the outside of that left foot. Then point the heel of the foot up. So maybe stacking that heel over that left knee. Just taking it into that happy baby space. Squeezing that left knee in towards that left armpit again. Then releasing that left foot down to the inside of the right thigh and just allow that left knee to drop out to the side, hips and shoulders still facing up towards the ceiling. Breathing easy. Then bringing that knee back into the center, bring the arms to a T shape, then let that left knee drop over to the right, Still keeping that left shoulder down on the floor, that rotation through the waist. So shoulders are pointing up to the ceiling, the hips are turning to the right. And just keep those breaths easy. Then bring that knee back to centre. Bring both knees in towards the chest and give those knees a little squeeze in towards you. And make a few circles with the knees on the ceiling in one direction. Then take those circles the other way. And bring those knees back into the chest. Take a hold of the crease of the knees and then just rock yourself up to seated. Once you've arrived in seated, make your way around onto your hands and knees. Bring the heel of the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And just take a moment of moving that spine through spinal articulation, cat-cow. So on your breath in, the head lifts, the bum lifts, the belly drops. On your breath out, everything folds back in, chin comes to the chest, tailbone tucks, centre of the spine lifts. Take it through those two places to your breath. Moving nice and slowly, nice and mindfully, from one pose to the other, from cat to cow. Widen those fingers, push into the index finger, thumb, little finger. Making sure those toes are untucked, tops of the feet flat on the floor. Maybe close the eyes as you move in and out of these places. Connecting a little more internally to the body by taking away that sensation of sight. And then the next time you come through that neutral place, step both feet back to a plank position. Then just drop down the knees without fussing with those hands and feet. Turn the creases of the elbows forward. Slowly let that body come down to the floor. Untuck the toes, push into the hands. Little baby cobra, squeeze those shoulders back. Then release that chest back down. Tuck under with the toes. Bring those chest back towards those thighs. Then push into those hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips. Start to paddle the feet as you arrive in down dog, your first downward facing dog of the day. Just remembering those backs of legs might feel a little tight, so maybe not go straight into stretch. Just take it in and out dynamically, paddling one heel down towards the floor at the time. Maybe releasing the head by nodding and shaking, getting any tension out of those necks. Then bringing those heels back to a still position. Come back forward to your plank position space. Drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, slowly let that body come down to the floor. Push into the hands, lift up the chest, little baby cobra. Release that chest back down, tuck under with your toes. Push into the hands, bring the chest back towards the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips. Back to down dog, where we start to paddle the feet here again. Just loosening through the back of those legs. Maybe you want to bring a little movement into those hips. Maybe into the shoulders, bend in the elbows.
Doing a little bit of freestyle here in the down dog. Just getting a little bit of fluidity into that downward facing dog shape. Then when you're ready to bring those heels back to stillness, encourage them back towards the floor. Take a nice long deep breath in and a long sigh out through the mouth. So starting with the flow of the practice, come down onto the knees, bring your right foot through in between the hands, then tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee up, left hand stays down on the floor, right hand raises up towards the ceiling, gazing up towards that right thumb, trying to stack that right shoulder on top of the left, both hips stay nice and neutral to the front edge of the mat, shoulders turn to the right. Right knee stays bent, left leg straightens by pushing that left heel to the back of the room. Only gazing up to the thumb if the neck's comfortable. If not, just gaze to the side or down towards the floor. Just holding it in this space just for a couple more breaths. Trying to reach up high with the fingertips, push down with the left hand into the mat. One more breath here. Then bringing your right hand down to the outside of the right foot, drop the back knee and tuck the toes. Right knee goes back to meet the left. Then find your way back to plank first. Then lift the hips back to down dog. Take a paddle through the feet. Nod and shake of the head. Then squeezing those heels back just for a breath. Come back forward through to your plank position. Drop down the knees without moving the feet. Untuck the toes. Turn the creases of the elbows. Slowly let that body come down towards the floor. Push into the hands. Bring yourself to a little baby cobra. Release that chest back down. Tuck under with the toes. Chest comes back towards those thighs. Push into those hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips. Find your way back to that downward facing dog. Again, let go of the head, release tension through that neck. Long breath in and long breath out. Come down onto the knees. This time bring your left foot through in between the hands. Tuck your back toes back under, lift the back knee. Right hand stays on the floor, left hand goes up to the ceiling, twist the shoulders to the left. If it's okay for the neck, gaze up to that left hand. Back leg straight, pushing that right heel to the back of the room, left knee's bent. Reaching up with the left fingertips down and pushing, grounding into that right hand into the mat. Find that stability and that support. Breathing long, easy breaths here. Trying to feel that stretch down the back of that right leg as you push that right heel back. Maybe feeling a little stretch around the outside of that left hip. Just noticing the places that feel tight. Just being mindful of how your body moves from left to right. Bring your left hand back down to the floor, drop your back knee. Bring your left knee back to meet the right, and then step yourself back into a plank position and lift the hips. And squeeze the heels back just for a breath. Your next breath in, we bring ourselves forward to a plank. We drop the knees without fussing with the feet, untuck the toes. Release that chest down, elbows graze the ribs, push into the hands and lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, push into the hands, bring the chest back towards those thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeeze those heels back, finding yourself back into that downward facing dog space. So we're going to add another pose onto the end and then reverse back through to bring ourselves back to this place. So coming down onto the knees, bringing your right foot through in between the hands. Tuck your back toes under and lift the back knee. The left hand stays down, the right hand lifts. We twist, rotate to the right first, just for a breath. Then bring that right hand back down. Push into the feet, raise up the hands, bringing yourself to a high lunge space. Sink those hips low. Try and feel like you're lifting the lower belly up, tucking the tailbone under, straightening through that back left leg as much as you can, pushing that heel to the back of the room, bending still into that right knee, pushing nice and strong into the sole of that right foot. Relax the shoulders, reach up through the fingertips, holding for another couple of breaths in high lunge. Breathing nice and easily, still using that nose if you can. Then taking it back down, we bring that left hand down as we keep that right hand lifted. Find that rotation to that right side again, gazing up to the right hand. Then bring that right hand down to meet the left. Drop the back knee. Bring your right knee back to meet the left. Then step yourself back to a plank position. Hold it in plank for a breath. Then lift up those hips. Squeeze the heels back to down dog. Hold it here for another breath. Then take a vinyasa through, forward to a plank. Drop down with the knees. Try not to fuss with the feet too much. Untuck the toes, release down to the floor, elbows graze the ribs. Push into the hands. Maybe you want to come a little higher into your back bend now, or keep it low. Release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring that chest back towards those thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeezing those heels back. Relax through the neck, nod and shake the head. Then bring yourself back onto your knees. This time your left foot comes through in between the hands. You tuck your back toes under, lift up the back knee. Right hand stays down on the floor as you raise the left hand up to the ceiling. Rotate, twist to the left, maybe gaze up to that hand. Then bringing that left hand back down to the floor. Stabilize the feet, find the second pose of lunge, high lunge. Left knee stays bent, right leg stays straight, hips stay low. Lower belly lifts and the tailbone tucks under slightly. Reaching up with the fingers, relaxing down with the shoulders. Holding it in this high lunge space, either gazing forward, or if you wish to challenge the balance, gaze up towards the ceiling or the hands. Easy breathing. Pushing strong into both feet. Then bringing your right hand down to the floor. Your left hand stays lifted, taking it back through our rotated twist. Then bring that left hand back down to the floor. Drop your right knee. Left knee comes back to meet the right. Step both feet back to plank position. And then raise the hips back to down dog. Then come forward to a plank. Drop down the knees, keeping the feet where they are. Then untuck the toes. Turn the creases of the elbows. Bring yourself down to the floor. Push into the hands, lift up the chest. Then release that chest back down. Tuck under with the toes. Bring that chest back towards those thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet. Lift up the hips. Squeeze those heels back. Taking it to down dog for a few breaths. So adding another pose on, which will be Warrior Two, slowly transitioning through and then transitioning back, reversing through those poses. Come down onto your knees, bring your right foot through in between the hands. Tuck your back toes under, lift up your back knee. Left hand stays on the floor as you reach up with the right hand just for a breath. Maybe gaze to that thumb. Bring the right hand back down, stabilise the feet, then find yourself in your high lunge position. Again, just for a breath. Then drop the back heel, right hand comes forward, left hand comes back to find Warrior Two. So think about squeezing that right knee out to the right side of the mat to get that stretch on that inside of the right thigh. Palms are facing down, arms are long. Crown of the head stacked on top of that tailbone. Tailbone almost in the centre of both feet. Lower belly lift, tailbone tuck. Support that centre of the body as we hold it in this Warrior Two space. So from this position, we're going to transition back. So bring your left arm down, around, turn your shoulders, hand to meet the right, come onto the toes of the back foot. As you raise those hands back to high lunge, sink into that knee. Then bring your left hand down, keep your right hand lifted, rotate to the right, gaze up to that right thumb. Right shoulder stacks on top of the left. Then bring that right hand down to meet the left, drop the left knee, bring your right knee back to meet the left. Then take yourself back into a plank position, holding it in plank just for a couple of breaths. Then lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Relax through the neck, relax through the shoulders. Come back forward to a plank. Without moving the feet, drop the knees, untuck the toes. Turn the creases of the elbows, slowly release down to the floor. Then push into the hands, take it into your back bend. Chest comes back down, toes tuck back under, chest comes back to the thighs. Push into your hands and feet, then lift up the hips, back to our downward facing dog. Hold it in down dog just for a couple of breaths. Always good to get into those back muscles and stretch and relax the neck. Come back down onto the knees. This time, bring your left foot through. Tuck your back toes under and lift up the back knee. Bring your right hand to the floor, left hand lifts, return, rotate to the left. Just for a breath, maybe gaze up to that thumb. Then bring that left hand down, stabilise the feet, then raise the arms up, high lunge, relax those shoulders. Then find your Warrior Two, you drop your right heel down, your left hand comes forward, your right hand comes back, and we sink into the hips, bend into that left knee, maybe a little more if you've come out. Finding your Warrior Two pose, relax shoulders, tall through the crown of the head, energetically pushing into the outside edge of the right foot and the whole of the left foot. Just holding this Warrior Two space for a couple of breaths. Then scooping that right arm down, around, turn the shoulders, bring the right hand to meet the left, come onto the toes of the back foot, find your high lunge place again. Then bringing your right hand down, keeping your left hand lifted, bringing that right hand to the floor, finding that rotated lunge. Then the left hand comes down, dropping your right knee, bring your left knee back to meet the right. Just this time, take a little rock of the hips from side to side. And take the hands a little further forward and let that chest just sink towards the floor, foreheads to the mat. Just taking a moment in this puppy dog pose, just stretching through those armpits, stretching through the chest, arching into that back, taking that back into a little back bend, tops of the feet pushing into the floor, holding it here just for a few breaths. Then make your way into child's pose, or time to take on maybe some water if you haven't already, wherever and whatever that body requires. So we have 3 more poses to add on to that little sequence. And it's going to be working the strength of our waist area around those obliques, transitioning from side bend, either leaning forward or leaning back, either reverse warrior or reverse triangle, but it's that transition going through that will really work these oblique muscles. So if you're in child's pose, we're just going to hold it there just for another couple of breaths, just to restore that breath, relax that mind. Use that breath as an anchor to keep your focus on your mat in your practice. When you're ready, making your way back to downward facing dog, going through tabletop first, stepping back to plank second, then lifting the hips back to down dog. Third, stretching, relaxing the neck, just taking a moment in down dog before we start with the right side. Come down onto the knees. Bring your right foot through in between the hands. Tuck your left toes under, lift up the left knee. Left hand stays on the floor as you raise that right hand and rotate, twist to the right. Then bring that right hand back down. Stabilize the feet to the floor, then raise those hands, finding your high lunge. Then drop that left heel down, turn the shoulders in the hips to find your warrior 2. Bums tucked under, lower belly's lift. Then turn the right palm, reach forward with the right hand. Send the right hand up to the ceiling, reaching up through those right fingertips, maybe gazing into that palm, breathing into that right rib cage. Left hand just trailing down that left leg, still staying bent into that right knee, so we've still got warrior 2 legs, but reversing with the arms, holding it in this space, breathing easy. Then reversing back through, find warrior 2 first. Then bring your left arm down and around, turn the shoulders and hips to face the front, find high lunge. Then bringing your left hand down to the floor, your right hand stays lifted, we rotate to the right. Then bring your right hand back to the floor, drop your left knee. Right knee comes back to meet the left. Step back to a plank position. Lift up the hips, squeeze those heels back. Take a breath in, down dog. Then come forward to a plank position. Drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, release to the floor. Push into the hands, take your back bend. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Chest comes back to the thighs, core center, stay strong. Push into the hands, push into the feet as we lift up those hips. Squeezing the heels back, just for a breath. Then taking this on your left side, drop the knees down to the floor. Bring your left foot in between the hands. Back toes tuck under, back knee lifts. Right hand stays down as the left hand lifts and we rotate the shoulders to the left. Bring that left hand back down. Keep the feet stable as you raise the arms up to high lunge. Then drop the back heel, keep the left knee bent and find warrior two. Left hand forward, right hand back. Then turn the left palm, reach forward, raise that left hand up to the ceiling. Find that reverse warrior, holding it here in this space. Breathing into the left rib cage, stretching through the waist on that left side, contracting through the waist on the right. Right hand relaxing down the back of that right leg. Still stay sunken into those hips. Let that left shoulder relax so it's not creeping up towards that left ear. One more breath here. Then find yourself back to warrior two arms, warrior two legs. Then scoop your right arm down, turn the shoulders and hips, come onto the toes of the back foot to find high lunge. Then bring your right hand down, your left hand stays lifted. Find rotated lunge. Then your left hand comes down to the floor. We drop down the back knee. We bring that left knee back to meet the right. We then step back into plank. Lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back to down dog. Then take that flow vinyasa, knee dropped, come forward to plank. Don't move the feet but drop the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, let the elbows come back to graze those ribs. Push into the hands, take it into your back bend, what feels right. Bring that chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back towards those thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips, squeeze those heels back. Easy breath in. Easy breath out. Coming down onto the knees, adding another pose onto that flow. So bringing your right foot through, in between the hands, tuck the toes of the back foot under, lift the back knee. Left hand stays down, right hand lifts, turn, rotate to the right. Then bring that right hand back down to the floor. Stabilize here first before you raise those hands up to high lunge. Find your warrior two. Drop the back heel, right hand forward, left hand back. Turn the right palm, reach forward, raise that right hand back up to the ceiling, left hand down the back of the left leg. Then straightening up through that right leg, reach forward with the right hand as the left hand lifts up to the ceiling. Maybe taking a gaze up to that thumb, holding it in triangle pose for a few breaths. So remembering after this place, we reverse back through all poses. So bringing those shoulders back over the hips, bending into that right knee, reaching that right hand up, taking it to reverse warrior. Then bring those shoulders back over the hips, find warrior two, palms face down. Then turn around to the front, left arm comes down, turn shoulders and hips, and find your high lunge. Then bring your left hand down to the floor, your right hand stays lifted, finding that space rotated round to the right. Then bring that right hand down, drop that left knee. Bring your right knee back to meet the left. Then step yourself back to plank. And lift those hips, squeezing those heels back. So taking ourselves through a little vinyasa. Forward to plank, inhale. Drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, release to the floor. Push into the hands and lift up your chest. Release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips. Squeeze those heels back. So taking that exact same flow on that left side, coming back down onto the knees. Bring your left foot through in between those hands. Tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee. Right hand stays down as the left hand lifts, rotate to the left. Left hand comes back down as you then raise the hands, finding high lunge. Then drop the back heel, left hand forward, right hand back, warrior two. Then turn the left palm, reach forward, take it to reverse warrior. Then straighten the left leg, shoulders back over the hips, reach forward with the left hand. Left hand comes to the inside of the left shin, right hand lifts. Triangle pose. This is where we're holding just for a couple of breaths, using the strength of these oblique muscles around the waist, the strength of the back muscles. Maybe that gaze is up to that right thumb. Try not to hyperextend that left knee. Then taking a bend back into that left knee, lift that left hand all the way back up, right hand down the back of the right leg, reverse warrior. Then find warrior two, palms face down. Scooping the right arm down and around, turning the shoulders and hips, find high lunge. Bring your right hand down to the floor, left hand stays lifted, rotated lunge. Left hand comes down to the mat, drop down the back knee, bring your left knee back to meet the right. Step both feet back to plank. Lift the hips back to down dog. Come back forward to a plank position. Drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, release down to the floor. Push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Chest comes back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So we have one more flow to do on both sides, adding reverse triangle onto the end and reversing back through those poses again. Come down onto the knees. Bring your right foot through in between the hands. Tuck your back toes under, lift up the back knee. Left hand comes to the floor, right hand raises up to the ceiling, rotate, twist to the right. Then bring that right hand back down to the floor, stabilize the feet as you then raise the hands up to high lunge. Drop the back heel, right hand comes forward, left hand comes back, warrior two. Turn the right palm, reach forward and take it to reverse warrior. Then straighten that right leg, reach forward with the right hand, bring it to the inside of the right leg as the left hand lifts, triangle pose. Then taking it back, reversing, keeping both legs straight, finding reverse triangle. So the difference to warrior reverse and triangle reverse is the front leg stays straight. Again, maybe gaze up into that right palm. But remember, from this point, we're transitioning all the way back through all those poses. So bring the shoulders back over the hips. Reach back down with that right hand and lift up with the left. Take a bend into your right knee, your right hand lifts back up, take it to reverse warrior. Keep strong in the core. Shoulders come back over the hips, warrior two, Then scoop your left arm down, around, come onto the toes of the back foot, high lunge. Left hand comes down, right hand stays lifted. Reverse, twisted, low lunge. Then bring that right hand down, bring the left knee down, right knee back to meet the left. Step back to plank. Lift at the hips, down dog. Come back forward to a plank position. Drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, release to the floor. Push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Chest comes back to those thighs. We then push into the hands and feet, lift at the hips, squeeze the heels back. One more flow with the left side. Bring the knees down to the floor. Bring your left foot through in between the hands. Tuck your back toes under, lift up the back knee. Right hand stays down as your left hand lifts. Rotate to the left. Bring that left hand back down. Stabilize the feet and raise the hands up to your high lunge. Drop the back heel, find warrior two. Turn the left palm, reach forward, lift it up to the ceiling, find reverse warrior, right hand down the back of the right leg. Then straighten the left leg, left hand comes forward and down to the inside of the left shin as the right hand lifts, triangle pose. Then take it all the way back to reverse triangle. Use that oblique strength to lift those shoulders. Left hand lifts back to the ceiling. Holding it in reverse triangle, right hand down the back of the right leg. Both legs straight, push strong into the mat. Gaze up to that left palm. So we're going to transition all the way back through, so the left hand comes down to the inside of that left shin, both legs straight, right hand lifts. Then bend that left knee, left hand comes up, we reverse warrior, right hand down the back of the right leg, left hand lifts. Then find warrior two, both palms facing down. Then scoop the right arm down and around, turn the shoulders and hips, come onto the toes of the back foot, high lunge. Then bring your right hand down to the floor as your left hand stays up to the ceiling, taking that rotation of lunge. Your left hand comes back to the floor, your right knee drops, your left knee comes back to meet the right. Take it back through plank. Lift up the hips, back, down dog. Then take a flow vinyasa, forward to plank on the inhale. Drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, release to the floor. Push into the hands, lift up the chest into your back bend. And then take it back, chest to thighs. Pushing into the hands and feet, lifting up the hips, squeezing the heels back. Take a moment in down dog. Then make your way into a seat, swinging the legs around to the front of the mat, bringing the bums into the centre. We're slowly going to make our way down to the floor. Lose it, using a little bit of core engagement to get there. Bring the toes back to the shins. Slowly let those spines come down, one vertebra at a time, using those long limbs, that core strength to slowly make your way all the way onto your back. When your shoulders come down to the floor and your head reaches, just bring that right knee in towards you and squeeze that knee into the chest. take that knee over towards the right armpit, right thigh coming to the outside of the right rib cage and squeeze. Bring that knee back into the chest. Then straighten that leg up towards the ceiling. Just notice whether those hamstrings feel a little looser than when you did it first part of the practice. Lift the shoulders away from the floor, bring the knee and the shoulders and the head closer. Then release those shoulders back down. Bend into that right knee. Take a hold of the ankle or the outside of the foot. Take that half happy baby. Heel of the foot maybe stacking somewhere on top of that right knee. Then release that right foot into the inside of that left thigh. Just allow that leg just to drop out into tree legs. External rotation of that hip. And bringing the arms out to a T. Bring that knee back into the centre, then over to the left. Maybe use that left hand to help that knee come a little closer. Keep those shoulders grounded. Bring that knee back into the centre. Straighten out that right leg. Bring the left knee in towards you. Have a squeeze of that knee in towards the chest. Take that knee over towards that left armpit. Left thigh to the outside of the left rib cage. And bring that knee back into the centre. Straighten that left leg out. Heel push up, toes come back. Feel the stretch. How does it feel now to the beginning of class? Lift the shoulders away, walk the hands up that leg. Bring the knee closer to the head closer to the knee. And then release those shoulders back now. Take a bend into the left knee. Take a hold of either the ankle or the outside of that left foot. Just squeezing that knee in towards the armpit. Trying to stack the heel of the left foot on top of the left knee. Then release that left foot to the inside of the right thigh and just let that hip drop out externally. Just for a couple of breaths. Then bringing the arms to a T shape, bring that knee into the centre, then over to the right side of the mat. Maybe use that right hand to encourage it a little further. Left shoulder stays down as much as you can. Then bringing that knee back into centre. Both knees bent, feet in towards the bum. Just have a little windscreen wipe of the legs before we take you into relaxation for a few minutes. So when they next come back to the middle, you can either stay here with the feet out to the width of the mat for relaxation, or bring the feet together, let the knees drop out to the side into butterfly legs, or bring the legs long to the ends of the mat, fully stretching out with the body. Wherever you are, just bring those hands down by the sides of the body, let the fingers gently curl. Relax through the shoulders, maybe send them down a little bit towards those hips to create space between the ears and the shoulders. Maybe have a little rock of the head through side to side. And then
find that comfortable space at the back of the head. Close the eyes, let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth and the lips gently part. Relax the jaw, the forehead. Start to notice your own automatic breath, however your breath comes. Just be aware of it. Just noticing the parts of the body that are touching the floor. And those clothes that are touching the skin. The taste and the tongue. The smells of the room. And the sounds around you. If your eyes are closed, noticing the colours and the shapes behind those eyelids. Noticing the temperature of the room. The temperature of your body. Switching into all of the 5 senses. If you wish to stay here for a little longer, pause me now. And if you're coming out with me, start to bring some movement into the fingers, some movement into the toes. Maybe starting to rotate through those wrists, those ankles. If you wish to take that full body stretch, stretching the hands up and over the head, stretching through the fingers, the toes, maybe arching into that lower back. Then bringing those hands back up and over, bringing the knees in towards the chest, just giving those knees a squeeze, maybe a rock of that body from side to side. Then take a roll over onto your side, make a pillow with the hands, take a couple of easy breaths here. When you're ready, slowly making your way into a seated position with the eyes closed, the head slightly bowed, tall through the spine, relaxed through the shoulders, either finding a cross-leg position on the knees or with those legs out in front. Your next breath in, bring the hands up and over the head, bring the palms together at the top. And bring the hands down to the chest, soft gaze down to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, your words, your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.